Good evening, beautiful people. I want to talk to you tonight about something that I believe is so important for us to grasp, especially in the world we live in today. It's about the power of focusing on yourself. Not in a selfish, self-centered way, but in a way that ensures you are living your truth, operating in your purpose, and walking in the fullness of who God has created you to be. Too often we spend so much time trying to be everything for everyone else. We pour into others, we serve others, we give, and we leave little room to focus on our own needs. And let me tell you, if you're not careful, that constant focus on others can begin to drain you. It will cause you to forget that you are a priority too. But what would happen if you shifted your perspective? What if just for a moment you focused on you? I'm not talking about selfishness. I'm talking about self-care, self-love, and self-awareness. What if you turned your attention to your dreams, your growth, and your health spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically? You see, when you begin to focus on you, not just for a season, but with intention, something incredible happens. The focus becomes you. You start to see things more clearly. The distractions that once had you questioning who you are start to fade away. You stop seeking approval from people who don't see your worth, because guess what? You finally recognize it yourself. You stop asking for permission to be great, to be bold, to walk in your calling. And it's not because you're trying to prove anything to anyone. It's because you know who you are. And more importantly, you know whose you are. Listen to me. It is okay to invest in you. It is okay to focus on your dreams. It is okay to take that time for your growth and your healing. And in fact, it's necessary. When you make time to focus on you, you are aligning yourself with the purpose and destiny God has for you, because He cannot bless the version of you that you have forgotten. Now you may be thinking, but what about my responsibilities? What about my family, my career, my relationships? Yes, I hear you. I see you. And I want you to understand this. Focusing on you doesn't mean neglecting those around you. It doesn't mean abandoning your responsibilities, but it does mean recognizing that you are the most important project you'll ever work on. When you are healthy, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, you are better equipped to love and serve others. You are more capable of being the best version of yourself in every area of your life. Your family needs you to be whole. Your job needs you to be strong. Your future needs you to be confident, but most importantly, you need you to be whole. When you start to focus on yourself, it's not about selfishness or ignoring the world around you. It's about stepping into a space where you are intentional with your time, energy, and focus. In a world full of distractions and demands, it's so easy to lose sight of your own needs and desires. But in order to align with your purpose and your destiny, you have to first understand that you are the most important person in your journey. Focusing on yourself isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity for the life you are meant to live. We often think that in order to find our purpose, we must look outside ourselves, waiting for a sign or for someone else to tell us what we're supposed to do. We get caught up in trying to meet the expectations of others, conforming to what society says is success, or seeking validation from external sources. But the truth is, the most important step toward your purpose is to first acknowledge who you are and where you stand in the current moment. Focusing on you isn't about being consumed with vanity or self-obsession. It's about giving yourself the space and grace to fully understand your needs, your desires, and your gifts. It's about taking time to nurture your spirit, mind, and body so that you can function at your highest potential. When you focus on your growth spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, you begin to uncover the parts of yourself that are most aligned with your true purpose. When you stop waiting for someone to tell you what your purpose is and start looking inward, you begin to see things you may have been too busy to notice. You realize that your passions, your strengths, and even your struggles are part of the journey that's uniquely yours. Purpose doesn't always appear in grand, sweeping moments. Sometimes it's found in the quiet moments of reflection and self-awareness. when you allow yourself to really listen to what you need and what you've been called to do. For many of us, the distractions of life can keep us from tuning into ourselves. We're so focused on the needs of others or on achieving what we think we should achieve that we forget to check in with our own hearts. But the reality is, you cannot serve others to the best of your ability if you're not in alignment with your own truth. When you're out of balance, when your energy is scattered, when you're not focused on your own well-being, everything you do becomes a reflection of that misalignment. You will begin to feel the weight of it in your work, in your relationships, and in your health. But when you make the conscious decision to focus on yourself, when you pour into your own growth, you begin to experience the clarity you've been missing. You begin to understand what you really want, and more importantly, what you truly need. It's only when you are in a space of alignment that you are able to confidently step into the next phase of your journey. Focusing on yourself allows you to take the time necessary to sharpen your skills, expand your knowledge, and heal from past hurts. This doesn't mean that everything will come together overnight, but it does mean that with each day you invest in yourself, you get closer to understanding your true calling. When you make space for self-reflection, you allow the wisdom of your experiences to shape and guide you. You realize that every season of your life, no matter how difficult, has been preparing you for the moment when your purpose would reveal itself. Too often we rush into things thinking that we need to achieve success or find fulfillment in a certain time frame. But the truth is, when you focus on the process of becoming who you're meant to be, the outcome becomes more natural. You stop chasing after things that were never meant for you, and you begin to attract the opportunities, relationships, and experiences that are in perfect alignment with your soul's purpose. In this process, you'll find that focusing on yourself isn't about being disconnected or selfish. It's about becoming so deeply connected to your inner self that you're able to show up for the world around you in a way that is authentic, powerful, and sustainable. You'll find that the more you invest in yourself, the more your impact on others becomes significant. As you begin to focus on yourself and align with your purpose, you stop seeking validation from outside sources. You stop allowing the opinions of others to dictate your worth. You realize that everything you need to walk in your calling is already inside of you. The journey becomes less about external approval and more about personal fulfillment and alignment with your purpose. It's about stepping into your power and realizing that when the focus is on you, it becomes easier to see who you truly are and who you're meant to become. Focusing on yourself isn't a one-time decision, but a lifelong practice. It's about recognizing that as you evolve, so does your understanding of your purpose. The more you focus on nurturing yourself, the clearer the path becomes, and the more you'll find that the focus is naturally on you the way it was always meant to be. Self-care and self-love are foundational to personal growth, yet for so many, they are often seen as optional or secondary to everything else in life. We've been taught to prioritize the needs of others, to work tirelessly for success, and to keep pushing through challenges. But the truth is, without taking care of yourself, without nurturing your body, mind, and spirit, you are unable to grow into the person you were always meant to be. When you make self-care a priority, you're not indulging in selfishness. Instead, you are choosing to honor yourself. In a world that constantly demands your attention and energy, it's easy to lose sight of your own needs. But when you focus on yourself, you give yourself permission to take a step back, breathe, and fill your cup. Only when you are whole, when you are well, can you give your best to others and to the world. Self-care comes in many forms. For some, it may be taking a long walk or indulging in a peaceful moment of solitude. For others, it might look like sitting down with a journal to reflect or taking a break from the noise of the world. The key is understanding that self-care isn't just about pampering yourself. It's about meeting the deeper needs of your soul, your body, and your mind so that you can thrive. It's about creating habits that nurture your well-being, whether that's through nourishing food, regular exercise, or quiet moments of reflection. These acts of self-care are essential to your growth because they remind you that you matter. They affirm that your health, mental, emotional, and physical, is worth prioritizing. In the same way, self-love is a practice that builds the foundation for everything else in your life. It's the internal work that makes the external work possible. Self-love means accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. It means looking in the mirror and seeing your worth, even on days when you feel like you failed or fallen short. Self-love is recognizing that you deserve kindness, respect, and compassion, not only from others, but also from yourself. When you love yourself, you set a standard for how you allow others to treat you. You stop tolerating disrespect, mistreatment, or anything less than what you deserve. You begin to protect your peace, your boundaries, and your heart with a level of reverence that can only come from truly understanding your value. But self-love doesn't just show up when things are easy. It's easy to love yourself when everything is going well. But true self-love is tested during the challenging seasons. It's about being kind to yourself when you stumble, being gentle when you make mistakes, and choosing to forgive yourself when you fall short. Self-love doesn't mean you never make mistakes or experience setbacks. It means you don't allow those moments to define your worth. It means you show up for yourself with grace, understanding that growth comes through the lessons you learn, not from perfection. Self-care and self-love are both acts of resistance in a world that often tells you to keep going no matter how you feel. They require you to slow down, to be intentional, and to value yourself enough to put your needs first. These practices are not luxuries, they are necessities. When you neglect your well-being in favor of other people's demands or expectations, you are essentially putting a ceiling on your growth. You are telling yourself that you don't matter as much as everything else around you. But when you focus on yourself, when you make self-care and self-love a part of your daily routine, something shifts. You begin to create a life that reflects the love and respect you have for yourself. You don't wait for someone else to see your value because you've already recognized it. You don't wait for permission to take up space in this world because you know that your presence is needed. You begin to cultivate the strength to pursue your goals, to embrace your dreams, and to walk confidently in your purpose. The more you prioritize self-care and self-love, the more you build the resilience you need to face life's challenges. You become better equipped to handle adversity. Not because you're immune to difficulties, but because you've developed the inner strength and peace that allow you to navigate through the storms. You stop giving away your energy to things that don't serve you, and you start investing it in the things that align with your growth and your purpose. When you take time to care for yourself and love yourself, you start to see yourself through the lens of possibility rather than limitation. You stop seeing yourself as a person who needs to be fixed and start recognizing the beauty and strength that already resides within you. Self-care and self-love help you shed the limiting beliefs, the insecurities, and the doubts that hold you back from stepping into the fullness of who you are. These practices allow you to see yourself clearly and to step boldly into the life you've always been meant to live. Focusing on yourself through self-care and self-love doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everyone around you. When you're whole, when you're well, you become a better partner, a better friend, a better leader. You show up in the world with more clarity, confidence, and compassion. You stop spreading yourself thin and begin to radiate the energy that comes from living authentically. Your personal growth isn't just about you. It has a ripple effect that impacts those you love, those you lead, and even strangers you encounter along the way. So as you focus on yourself, remember that it's not a selfish act. It's a necessary one. It's the foundation on which everything else will be built. When you make self-care and self-love a priority, you set yourself up for a future that is in alignment with who you were always meant to become. You cannot pour from an empty cup. This simple truth holds so much weight when it comes to our well-being and personal growth. We are often taught to be generous, to care for others, to put the needs of those around us first. While these are admirable qualities, there's a danger in consistently giving without making sure you have something to give in the first place. If you're running on empty, if you're exhausted, drained, and depleted, how can you truly show up for others in a way that is meaningful? intentional, and full of love. The reality is you can't give what you don't have, whether it's your time, your energy, your attention, or your love. And if you don't prioritize your own healing and strength, you will find yourself unable to be the person you're called to be, both for yourself and for others. When you neglect your own needs, when you give and give without replenishing your own spirit, body, or mind, you begin to burn out. You begin to feel like you're stuck in a cycle of giving, and it can feel like you're giving to others out of obligation or out of guilt rather than out of genuine care and love. The problem is you are not your best self in these moments. You're functioning from a place of scarcity and depletion, not from a place of abundance. And when you operate from that place, the quality of what you give diminishes. You can't offer love, wisdom, or encouragement to others if you don't have it for yourself. How can you teach others to heal if you haven't given yourself the grace to heal? How can you pour into others' dreams if you haven't allowed yourself the time and space to invest in your own? Prioritizing your own healing and strength is not an act of selfishness. It's an act of self-awareness and self-respect. Healing is a process. Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's physical, but it's always necessary. When we carry unresolved pain, past wounds, or unhealed trauma, it can affect every area of our lives. It can cloud our judgment, limit our potential, and create barriers between us and the abundance that is meant for us. Healing is not a luxury. It's a necessity. When you choose to focus on your own healing, you are making the conscious decision to step into a better version of yourself. You are saying, I deserve to be whole. I deserve to be healthy. I deserve to show up as the best version of myself. If you don't prioritize your healing, the wounds you've ignored will eventually show up in your relationships, your career, your health, and your peace of mind. These unresolved hurts begin to fester, and instead of thriving, you're surviving. Instead of growing, you're merely existing. Focusing on your healing means confronting your past, acknowledging your pain, and giving yourself permission to move forward with compassion and grace. It means not letting the weight of yesterday's mistakes, traumas, or regrets continue to dictate how you live today. It's about giving yourself permission to heal, and more importantly, to heal at your own pace. Strength isn't something that just appears in moments of difficulty. It's something that is cultivated. Strength is built through the challenges you face, but also through how you care for yourself during those challenges. When you take the time to heal, to process, and to rest, you are building the strength needed to move forward in your life. Strength doesn't mean being invincible. It means being resilient. It means knowing that you can bounce back after setbacks, that you can stand tall after life's storms. You are giving yourself permission to build the mental, emotional, and spiritual fortitude needed to navigate the complexities of life. We often think that strength comes from pushing through exhaustion, from keeping our emotions in check, from hiding our struggles. But true strength comes from knowing when to rest, when to seek help, when to be vulnerable, and when to say no. It comes from understanding that taking care of yourself is part of the journey toward becoming the person you were created to be. When you heal, when you build your strength, you not only benefit yourself, you also benefit everyone around you. Think about it. When you are emotionally drained, mentally overwhelmed, and physically exhausted, how can you truly give the best of yourself to those you love, your work, or your community? You can't. You will give from a place of depletion, and eventually you will have nothing left to give. But when you prioritize your healing and strength, when you tend to your own needs first, you become a more present, loving, and effective individual. You are able to give generously because you have replenished yourself. You give from a place of overflow rather than scarcity. And this is why it's so important to focus on you. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean neglecting others. It doesn't mean abandoning your responsibilities or turning inward to the point of isolation. What it means is that you are choosing to honor yourself, to take care of yourself, and to recognize that your healing and strength are essential. You have to give yourself permission to heal, rest, and grow. Because when you do, the world around you benefits. Your relationships benefit, your work benefits, and most importantly, you benefit. You become the person you were always meant to be, strong, whole, and ready to give of yourself in ways that are truly meaningful. When you focus on you, you're not just taking care of yourself for the sake of feeling good. You are equipping yourself to handle the challenges life throws at you. You are building the emotional, mental, and physical resilience to handle setbacks with grace. You are ensuring that when the focus is on you, it's because you are the best version of yourself. And that version of you can give to others in a way that is truly powerful. For so long, many of us have been caught up in the cycle of seeking validation from others. We look for approval from family, friends, colleagues, even strangers on social media. We measure our worth by the compliments we receive, the likes on our posts, the recognition from others. We become so focused on what others think of us that we lose sight of the most important thing, our own perception of ourselves. But the moment we shift that focus, the moment we stop seeking validation from external sources and start recognizing our own worth, everything changes. When you focus on yourself and your own worth, you stop seeking external confirmation to feel validated. The world is full of opinions, and people will always have something to say about who you are, what you do, and how you live your life. But when your validation comes from within, it doesn't matter what others think or say about you. You learn to define your own value. You stop relying on external measures of success or approval because you already know who you are and what you bring to the table. This shift is freeing, and it allows you to let go of the need to prove yourself to anyone, to stop chasing after fleeting moments of recognition that leave you empty. Recognizing your own worth begins with understanding that you are valuable just as you are, not because of the things you do, the accomplishments you achieve, or the accolades you receive. It's about seeing yourself as enough without needing the approval of others to feel validated. This is a powerful realization because it means you no longer have to depend on the approval of others to feel worthy. You can walk confidently in your own skin, regardless of how the world perceives you. The need to seek validation fades, and you begin to live more authentically. For years, we've been conditioned to measure our worth by external standards, our appearance, our achievements, our social status. But these things are fleeting. They come and go. What remains, what truly matters, is who you are at your core. The person you are when no one is watching. The person you are when everything is stripped away. Your worth is not tied to your external circumstances. It's inherent in who you are. And when you learn to recognize this, you realize that you don't need anyone else's approval to feel good about yourself. Shifting focus from seeking validation to recognizing your own worth also means letting go of the comparisons. How often do we measure ourselves against others? How often do we look at someone else's life and wish we had what they have, or do what they do, or be who they are? Social media only amplifies this tendency to compare ourselves to others, making us feel inadequate or not enough. But the truth is, no one else's path is yours to walk. Their journey does not determine your worth, nor does your progress or success depend on theirs. When you stop comparing, you free yourself from the trap of always feeling like you fall short. You begin to embrace your unique journey and recognize that your worth is not contingent upon someone else's. Recognizing your own worth is also about healing from the wounds that have made you feel less than. So many of us have internalized the negative things people have said about us, the criticisms, the rejections, the hurtful words that have shaped how we see ourselves. It's time to unlearn those lies and replace them with the truth. You are worthy. You are deserving of love, respect, and happiness. The healing process is necessary for this shift, because it allows you to shed the layers of insecurity and doubt that have kept you from fully stepping into your power. When you heal from your past, when you let go of the pain and trauma, you begin to see yourself for who you truly are, not who others said you were or who your past mistakes have made you feel you are. The beauty of focusing on yourself and recognizing your own worth is that it doesn't depend on the approval of others. When you stop seeking validation from the outside world, you begin to make decisions based on what is right for you. You make choices that align with your values and your purpose, not based on what others expect or what society deems acceptable. This shift frees you to live your life on your terms. You stop being concerned about what others think of your choices because you trust yourself and your judgment. You know that you are worthy of living a life that aligns with your true desires, your values, and your vision for your future. And when the focus shifts to you, when you recognize your own worth, you no longer allow people's opinions or judgments to control how you feel about yourself. You stop feeling the need to defend your choices or justify your worth. You learn to stand firm in who you are, knowing that you don't need anyone else's validation to feel secure in your own skin. You become confident in your own abilities, knowing that your worth is not defined by anyone else but you. This shift in focus is liberating. It allows you to step into the fullness of who you are and embrace the life you were meant to live. When the focus is on you, you can finally stop seeking validation from the outside world and begin to recognize the incredible worth that has always resided within you. The moment you stop looking for approval from others is the moment you begin to fully live your truth, to own your space, and to honor yourself in ways that are transformative. You stop waiting for others to recognize your value because you already see it. When you focus on yourself, it may initially seem like a selfish act, but in reality, it is one of the most generous things you can do for the people in your life. So often we get caught up in trying to meet the needs of others, taking care of everyone around us, and pouring into the lives of others without giving ourselves the time and attention we need. The truth is, you cannot give from an empty cup. If you are not taking care of yourself, your mind, your body, your emotions, your spirit, then how can you truly show up for others in a meaningful and sustained way? Focusing on you is not just an act of self-care, it's an act of service for everyone you love and care about. When you focus on yourself, you begin to recognize your own worth, your needs, and your desires. This awareness is not self-centered, it's self-preserving. By taking time to understand what you need and making intentional choices to nurture your well-being, you are creating a solid foundation that allows you to be present and effective in every aspect of your life. The more you invest in yourself, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, the more you are able to show up fully for others. Focusing on yourself gives you the strength and clarity to serve others from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Imagine trying to give love, kindness, and support when you are emotionally drained, stressed, or physically exhausted. When you are at your lowest, you can barely take care of yourself, let alone anyone else. However, when you make the decision to focus on yourself, you create space for your own healing and growth. This allows you to show up in the lives of others with the energy, patience, and love that you were meant to give. By filling your own cup, you ensure that there is something of value to offer others. When you focus on yourself, you get a better understanding of your boundaries. When we don't prioritize our own needs, we often give in to every request, every need that others have. We say yes when we want to say no. We give when we have nothing left to give, and we stretch ourselves thin trying to meet everyone's expectations. But when you focus on your own growth and well-being, you begin to set healthy boundaries. You learn to recognize when to say yes and when to say no. You understand that you are not responsible for carrying the burdens of others, especially when it comes at the cost of your own peace. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish, it makes you strong. And when you are strong, you are better equipped to serve and love others in a way that is healthy and sustainable. Focusing on yourself also allows you to develop self-awareness, which is key to being an effective and loving presence in the lives of others. When you take the time to understand your emotions, your triggers, your desires, and your weaknesses, you begin to approach others from a place of understanding. You realize that when you are triggered or upset, it's not always about the other person. It's about your own unmet needs or unresolved emotions. This self-awareness allows you to respond to others with more patience, compassion, and empathy. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding from a place of thoughtfulness and understanding. Focusing on yourself encourages personal growth as you invest in your own development, whether that's through reading, learning new skills, developing emotional intelligence, or improving your mental health. You become a better version of yourself. You grow into a person who is more capable of supporting and loving others because you have taken the time to work on yourself. When you prioritize your own growth, you encourage the growth of others as well. You set an example for those around you, showing them that it is possible to be intentional about your own well-being while still being there for others. This doesn't mean that you ignore the needs of others or become indifferent to their struggles. On the contrary, when you are focused on your own well-being, you become better able to empathize with others and offer meaningful support. You understand that in order to truly serve someone, you must first understand their needs and be fully present with them. You can't give love from a place of exhaustion, but when you take care of yourself, you give with clarity and intention. You are better able to offer emotional support, lend a listening ear, and provide practical help because you have the energy and mental clarity to do so. Focusing on yourself equips you with the strength to navigate difficult relationships and situations. We all face challenges in our personal lives, whether it's with family, friends, or colleagues. When you are well grounded in who you are and have spent time cultivating inner peace, you are better equipped to deal with conflict, misunderstandings, or tension. You can approach these situations with a calm and open heart, ready to listen and resolve issues in a healthy and constructive way. You are less likely to act out of defensiveness or frustration and more likely to respond with grace, understanding, and maturity. Focusing on yourself also allows you to better love yourself, which in turn enables you to love others more deeply. You can't give love to others if you don't love yourself first. When you show yourself the same compassion, kindness, and respect that you show others, you create a deeper capacity to love and be loved. The love you give to others is no longer conditional or based on expectations. It becomes pure, unconditional love that comes from a place of self-understanding and self-worth. Ultimately, focusing on yourself doesn't just make you a better person for yourself, it makes you a better person for everyone around you. When you prioritize your own healing, growth, and well-being, you are setting yourself up to serve and love others in ways that are meaningful, sustainable, and truly impactful. You can give your best because you've taken the time to be your best. The focus may start on you, but when it becomes you, it's because you are now equipped to offer your gifts, love, and support to the world in a way that only you can. When the focus is on you, it changes everything in your life. You begin to see yourself in a new light, no longer defined by the opinions or expectations of others, but by your own understanding of who you are. For so long, many of us have placed our worth in the hands of others, constantly seeking validation and approval. We've let other people's views of us shape the way we view ourselves. But when you choose to focus on you, something shifts deep within. It's a powerful transformation that frees you from the constraints of seeking external validation and allows you to discover your own value, strength, and purpose. One of the first changes you notice when you shift your focus is a newfound sense of clarity. For years, the noise of the outside world may have drowned out your inner voice. The pressure to meet other people's expectations, to conform to societal standards, or to live up to the roles others have assigned you can cloud your judgment. But when you decide to focus on yourself, you create the space for your own voice to rise above all the noise. You begin to listen to your own thoughts, your own heart, and your own desires. This clarity helps you make decisions that are aligned with your true self, rather than out of obligation or fear of rejection. You start making choices based on what truly resonates with your soul, not on what others expect or demand from you. As you focus on yourself, you begin to realize the importance of self-care. You can't give what you don't have, and self-care is the key to giving from a place of abundance. When you neglect your needs, whether it's physical rest, emotional healing, or mental clarity, you drain your resources and have little left to offer others. But when the focus is on you, you take the time to nurture yourself. You prioritize your well-being, understanding that taking care of yourself is not a luxury, but a necessity. The more you care for yourself, the more energy, love, and compassion you have to share with others. You no longer give from a place of exhaustion or resentment, but from a place of strength, peace, and fulfillment. Your ability to give, love, and serve others increases exponentially because you are well equipped to do so. Focusing on yourself also means embracing your own worth. For so long, we have been conditioned to seek approval from the outside world, to measure our value based on how others see us. But when the focus shifts to you, you stop letting the opinions of others dictate how you feel about yourself. You recognize that your worth is inherent. It's not based on what you accomplish, what you look like, or what others say about you. You are worthy simply because you exist. This recognition of your own worth is freeing. It removes the weight of trying to prove yourself to others and allows you to walk confidently in your truth, knowing that you are enough as you are. As you begin to focus on yourself, you also start to understand the importance of boundaries. For years, many of us have been conditioned to say yes to everything, to be available to everyone, and to put the needs of others above our own. But when you focus on yourself, you realize that setting boundaries is a form of self-respect. You understand that you are not responsible for solving everyone's problems or meeting every expectation placed upon you. You begin to honor your own time, energy, and emotional capacity. You stop feeling guilty for saying no, and instead, you recognize that setting boundaries is an essential part of maintaining your own well-being. This shift in mindset not only protects your energy, but also enhances your relationships with others. You are able to show up for people in a more meaningful way because you've created the space to take care of yourself first. When the focus is on you, you also become more self-aware. Self-awareness is the key to personal growth. It allows you to recognize your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and your patterns. You become more in tune with your emotions and better able to understand why you react the way you do in certain situations. This self-awareness empowers you to make intentional changes in your life. You begin to shed the old habits, beliefs, and behaviors that no longer serve you and make room for growth. You start to embrace your authentic self, and in doing so, you become more aligned with your true purpose and passions. This shift in focus also leads to a deeper connection with your own desires. For so long, many of us have sacrificed our own dreams in the name of pleasing others or fulfilling obligations. We've put our own aspirations on the back burner, assuming that they are not as important as the needs of others. But when the focus is on you, you reconnect with your own dreams and goals. You start to honor your desires and pursue them with confidence. You realize that you are worthy of living a life that aligns with your values and passions. Your goals and dreams become a priority, and you begin to take the necessary steps toward achieving them. When the focus shifts to you, your relationships also transform. You no longer seek validation from others, and as a result, you attract relationships that are based on mutual respect and authenticity. You stop giving your energy to relationships that drain you or cause you to compromise your values. Instead, you form connections that uplift you, challenge you, and support your growth. Your relationships become more meaningful because they are no longer based on a need for validation, but on a deep, genuine connection with others who see and appreciate you for who you truly are. Ultimately, when the focus is on you, it changes everything in your life. You stop living for the approval of others and start living for yourself. You embrace your own worth, set boundaries, pursue your dreams, and create the life you've always desired. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself because you already know your value. You walk in confidence knowing that the focus is on you because you are worthy of that focus. This transformation doesn't just affect your life. It ripples out into every aspect of your existence, allowing you to show up more fully, love more deeply, and live more authentically.